Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel, my people. I want to talk about vibrations, you know? What raises your vibrations? What lowers your vibrations? This topic has crossed my mind in the last 3 weeks, and I want to talk about the different things that can lower your vibration and the type of things that can raise your vibrations and how to counter it. You want to protect your energy and make sure you're hanging around with people that are high in vibrations and highly driven and motivated people. Because you don't want to be that crabs in a bucket kind of person where you hang around 4 bums and you become the 5th bum. You want to be hanging around with people that are motivating you and pushing you. And you want to be hanging around people that are better than you and doing better than you. It's okay to not be the smartest person in the room, remember. Too many of us have got egos where we don't want to be around people that are doing better than us because it makes us insecure. But we have to overcome that and like tap it out, you know, because you're not going to grow if you hang around yes men, and you're definitely not going to grow if you hang around bums and people that aren't going to motivate you. I understand and I appreciate that you might know certain people that you've known for a long time and you've been through a lot of things together, but if they're not pushing you to drive yourself and they're not trying to level up and they're not willing to push themselves, you're not going to progress and develop as a person, and you're just going to be stuck in the same mentality and become the same person and just be stuck in that purgatory mode. So we're going to talk about the most obvious thing first, and that is society has created a system on purpose. It was designed specifically to lower your vibrations. The most obvious thing is obviously, you know, so many people do jobs that they don't enjoy, you know, and a lot of people will use the excuse or make you feel better by saying, well, everybody hates their jobs, it's what you got to do. Or another thing is about, well, at least it pays the bills. But do you actually feel content with yourself and your life by doing a job you don't enjoy? I understand it pays the bills. I totally understand this. It pays the bills, it gets the money in the pocket and in the bank. But you still don't feel content. It's still lowering your vibrations because they take so much of your time for your money. It's like every pound of flesh, you know. That's how society wants it to be. They want you to work like 9 hours a day and you only get like 3 or 4 hours to yourself every day, and you get 2 days off a week. I live in Great Britain and you only get like a typical working class day would be 5 days a week, 2 days off. And that's just doing like a blue collar work job. You know, I'm not even gonna go into that topic about retail. Like they don't even respect that. Sometimes you might only get 1 day off a week if you do like retail or like hospitality. But the point is, like, you don't have enough time for yourself to regain your spirit back and get your energy back, you know. I think you should really have like a 3 days off, 4 days on kind of work society. I think that would work much better. I believe Sweden's one of them countries that is like that. And people are a lot more happier in like Sweden and Denmark for the most part because they have more time to invest in themselves, invest in their friends and family, and just like, you know, have the work-life balance. But like a lot of places like America and England, like you don't have that work-life balance enough. You're forced to work too much, and it just lowers your vibrations. It makes you want to not be happy with yourself, and a lot of people tend to just look forward to the weekend because they're not content with their job and their day-to-day routines. A lot of people don't have energy to do other positive things like hit the gym. A lot of people, like, especially if you do blue collar work. I used to do a lot of blue collar work. Like I did a lot of powder coating. If you don't know what that is where you like spray paint objects and metals with powder paint, and it's a fucking horrible job because so much of it requires a lot of heavy lifting and you have no energy to actually hit the gym and do other things like a lot of time. Do you know what I mean? So of course, like, that isn't ideal. You want to have energy and time for your health and wealth as well, and obviously spending time with family and friends. If you think about it, right, if you do like a normal like working class day, you spend more time with a bunch of people that some of them you have to put up with, some of them you like, some of them you don't like. But the point is you spend more time with these people than your own loved ones, more than your own friends and family, right? Or your girlfriend or wife or whatever, right? You spend more time with these people, and it's not fair. Like, it isn't. It shouldn't be the case like that. But that's how it is. It's programmed to lower your vibrations like that, right? And you're told like, oh, every workplace is an idiot and you have to put up with them, but you shouldn't have to put up with that shit. You shouldn't have to spend more time with a bellend than with your own wife. The next thing I wanted to cover is drugs and alcohol. So following from what I was saying, the vast majority of working class people are stressed and tired. So they look forward to the weekend, and what do? They party, they drink, and they do drugs. And then they relive the same pattern for 20 years. And then before you know it, you're 40 years old and you're like, fuck, I wasted so much time. Why am I here now? And that's another thing that they've done to program you to lower your vibrations. They want you to be hooked onto that kind of shit, to keep procrastinating over the weekend and like, yeah, go out with the boys and the friends and try and pull some girls and like all this stuff. And then you go back to work on Monday and like Sunday night, you're dreading work again. And then the cycle continues, you know? And that's another way how they lower your vibrations. Alcohol is a stimulant. It makes you feel good in the moment, the same as weed. That makes you feel good in the moment. But the after effect is just drastic. The come down is drastic. Whenever I have alcohol, it literally like fucks my pattern up for like 2 or 3 days. I'm not even joking. Like my energy's lower, I feel heavier, I'm just more tired, you know, more incompetent, you know, and I'm sure it might be the same case for a lot of you guys. It just doesn't make you feel competent at all after having alcohol. It just fucks up the pattern completely, and then you just relive that same cycle for the following week, and it's just not ideal at all. The next topic on the list I want to talk about is watching porn. So I'll be honest with you guys, watching porn is not a good thing. You can take my advice or leave it, the ball is in your court, but I highly advise you to stop watching porn regularly, or at least cut down on it. And I'll explain to you why. So when you watch porn, you actually lose that primal instinct of hooking up with women and going on the hunt and like socializing and talking to women, you know what I mean? Because you become too dependable on an easily accessible thing, you know? And yeah, it's quite addictive watching porn too. They get you hooked on that shit, and you will like masturbate on a regular basis. And it's not good to masturbate and bushing up too often, because you release so much like good energy and testosterone that you need for being a functional man. You lose a lot of energy. Whereas like testosterone makes you have more energy and makes you have more good brain capacity and mental clarity. So when you masturbate a lot, you're not gonna have the same mental clarity and function as if, let's say, you were holding your nut in more. And for the most part too, like when you finally do hook up with a girl and you hold your nut in, it makes it worthwhile so much more. You appreciate it more. But when you're just watching porn all the time and masturbating, you're just not appreciating the actual substance and effect of actually hooking up with a woman and having a girlfriend and having sex, for example, because you're too dependable on a fictional video. Now that shit's out the way, I'm gonna now tell you guys how to raise your vibrations. I find that reading books really help with my mentality, and it's helped me have more courage and discipline. Reading books specifically from successful people or entrepreneurs, it gives me that courage and thought process of like, if they can achieve it, why can't I? You know, all of you guys can achieve anything you put your mind to. It's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations on the way, and it's going to be a lot of hard work required. But as long as you put the work in, you can achieve anything. So many successful people took losses. So many of them did. I can't even think about the amount of business ventures 50 Cent's tried and he failed with. But he always came back and tried something new. Everything's about trial and error. Specifically in your 20s, that's the best time to like try things and different business opportunities and ventures. And if they don't work out, it's not a big deal. It really isn't, you know? And just reading books and listening to stuff about the mind, a lot of psychology books really helps as well. You gain more knowledge and more clarity from doing so. A healthy, balanced diet is really important, guys. I'll be honest with you, I used to be quite cocky and eat a lot of unhealthy food because I've always been quite lean. So I was just being arrogant and thinking I can eat what I want and I'll still have abs. But I still felt shit internally, and my performance was not up to its highest standards that how it is now. I was tired a lot, and then obviously your brain registers what your body is doing. So if your body is not feeling good internally, your brain will register and be tired too and not perform to its maximum capacity. And at the end of the day, you are what you eat. No one's saying obviously you can't have a cheat meal once or twice a week. That's not a problem. But like for the most part, you want to be having, you've got 3 meals a day, for example. You want to have 2 of those meals just should be meat and vegetables, so like vitamins and protein. And then one of those meals carbs, because I must say carbs, it makes you feel more full, but it's still at the same time is not ideal. It makes you more tired at the same time. So you should only really have carbs in one meal of the day, and in the 2 of the meals just have meat and vegetables. Watching James Bond, guys, is really gonna raise your vibrations, because it does for me, and I guarantee it'll do it for you guys. Because look at him, he's a G. He gets loads of girls, he's in shape, he travels the world and pretty much lives life on his own terms. What more could you want, honestly? And he's just like a professional in everything he does. You look at the way he carries himself, he presents himself, the way he talks to people, his communication skills. You know, you can learn a lot from watching James Bond. I'm telling you now. I highly recommend watching the Sean Connery films and the Daniel Craig ones. I do find the Pierce Brosnan ones are a bit cheesy, and they're too programmed, or what's the word? They're just too manufactured to an extent. But them 2 Pacific ones I mentioned, I definitely recommend watching those. I pretty much preach this in every video, and it is just hitting the gym, you know, get in shape. It just improves your confidence, especially when you're around women, and you're just more of a rare option when you're in shape. You know what I'm saying? So many more women will desire you. Because they say money attracts women, and it does to an extent, but nothing more attracts women than just raw primal muscles and a good aesthetics physique, honestly. You know, train your abs, train your shoulders, get a good set of shoulders in you, and get a defined back and triceps. And you'll just see a massive difference in your lifestyle, the way people are talking to you and treating you. And you're just walking around the savannah like a fucking lion, and everyone's walking around looking at you, all the gazelles, they're in the savannah looking at the lion, and you're just in the line of the savannah just doing your thing. Trust me, guys, being in the gym and doing martial arts as well, as always, in most videos, will raise your vibrations. That's it for me today, guys. I hope this knowledge was useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Let's get it!